Quick Hits is brought to you by Gusto. Gusto is your small business partner for payroll, benefits, and so much more. Get started for free at gusto.com. Jules, enough Brazil. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
The United States demolished Paraguay 4-1 to open their tournament. Jules, so much skepticism from some, including us, around Mauricio Pochettino. I'd say he answered the call and shut us up for now. But I got to ask you, which piece of techers do you prefer? Christian Pulisic teleporting between two defenders or Gio Reyna's delicious outside of the boot finish?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it would have to be Gio Reyna's goal and a la Modric if you want, because Pulisic's dribbling was good, but he still pushes the ball a bit too far in a way, and then it's an own goal that scores the goal. I think Reyna, albeit with a lot of space for him to get into the box, that finish is still very special. Great first half. I mean, he helps when you face a Paraguay team that, forgot their football at home. It helps when you score so early. It helps when you've got that kind of dynamism and the energy that the US players showed. Great. I think maybe to go back to what we said about Morocco, what could be a problem for Pochettino and his team is the lack of depth. When key players have to come out, including Pulisic at halftime after that little niggle that he picked up, then I think the level drops a little bit. But hey, in terms of a first start in this tournament, it was good, very good. It was great. And also, I think for us to leave this World Cup here, that was the perfect start. That's what we needed for the whole country to be really in this World Cup spirit.
Yeah, I think you need to. It always helps when the hosts ignite the enthusiasm with performances like that.
Germany demolished Curacao 7-1. Gab, I mean, they were really never in it, although they scored to come back to 1-1. But were you impressed with the Germans?
Look, I think with all the questions surrounding Nagelsmann going in, I thought he answered them. I liked the inclusion of Nathaniel Brown into the lineup. I obviously love my Kai Havertz, the best on earth. That said, I don't know how much you learned from this, because this was a game also the way Curacao approached it. Curacao said, hey, we're here. Let's have a go. Let's not go and necessarily park the bus the way we would have. And you know Germany. Germany loved to run up the score like nobody else. If they played Little League baseball, they would get kicked out. So, yeah, no. I want to see them. Look, I think this is, we'll get to Ecuador and Cote d'Ivoire. I think the other two are going to be a completely different proposition for Germany. But, yeah, so far so good. You can only beat what's in front of you. Holland twice take the lead and twice Holland twice take the lead even and twice get pegged back by Japan. Yes, Japan. Jules, I'm obviously going to be biased here given that I'm supporting Japan in this World Cup. But so I'm going to let you handle this. But I suspect you're going to take issue with the Dutch guy and his inability to hold the lead and move to change formations at 2-1 up.
I mean, if you've been listening and watching us for the last few years, both on our show, also on the FC show, you would know that I don't rate and don't like the Dutch guy at all. But again, this game, and I don't want to feel vindicated. I don't care. But there's a reason why the Dutch guy is the Dutch guy. It's because he does things like we saw yesterday. And take nothing away from Japan, who I thought were really good and kept going and kept believing. Moriyasu's changes made a difference. Koeman, please, man, this idea that you have to go to a back five for the last 25, 30 minutes, 20 minutes of games like this makes no sense whatsoever anymore. This is something that maybe you could do in the 80s, but not anymore now. Those substitutions that he made yesterday just killed his team and killed the game that they had under control at 2-1 up, really. And I think it's not the first time, it won't be the last time. I don't think Koeman is a good manager, hence why he's the Dutch guy. But yesterday showed it again. I'm sorry for all the Netherlands fans.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you. I mean, I want to give credit to Japan. I thought Moriyasu's plan, like you said, I think even when they were behind, you go behind to big verge, hey, it's going to happen, right? But I think he got into his head with this idea of these little guys in blue running around and they're so fast and they're so, we mustn't get caught, let's go and tighten up the defense. And I generally think he got out-coached, basically this one. More to come from him. It's still early in the tournament. But I think a real morale booster as well for Japan.
Shock result in Vancouver, Gav, as Turkey fall to Australia 2-0. Tough nights for your boy, Vincenzo Montella, on the bench.
Yeah, he's getting absolute pelters. He's getting absolute pelters too over Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who's kind of in the middle of this because I think he started his first game for the national team, or maybe it's his first game overall in a long time. I think he played against Como in the Coppa Italia for Inter. They had kind of the epitome of sterile possession in this one. Look, they were beaten by an absolute worldie from Irankunda for the first one. Irankunda, I'm sure you know by now, everybody knows, a tremendous story, refugee from Burkina Faso, born in Tanzania, in a refugee camp and everything, and sort of this explosion of power and pace and everything. Turkey had 72% possession, by some counts even higher. But if you don't translate that into clear chances, you're going to struggle. Having Arda Güler out on the wing seems slightly counterintuitive against a team like Australia, who defended in the manner they did. Maybe after all, Koglu up front, not the obvious solution. I think if this game had ended a draw, it would not have been a scandal. But I think Turkey are going to be disappointed. And, let's not forget that they know that they're going to have to face a host as well in this. So I think the next game becomes very much a must-win for them. Shout out to Australia, too. I was a skeptic. In some ways, I'm still a skeptic. But 3 wins is just the best way. Obviously, 3 points is obviously the best way to start in the group stage. Now, unlike the other 2 hosts, Canada do not open with a win. They're held 1-1 by Bosnia, Jules.
Yeah, I was there though in Toronto, and what a great occasion it was. First of all, they made history by hosting their first ever World Cup game, the 19th country to do so, and then they made history another time by getting their first point in World Cup as well, after losing their 3 games in 2022, losing their 3 games in 1986 as well. Coming from behind against the Bosnia team that was so disappointing, I thought, with the ball. They scored on the set piece. They were only good on set pieces. For the rest, they tried to slow the game down. They tried to defend. And that was it. I thought credit to Toronto and Jesse Marsch, who made big calls in his substitutions. And even if he's not your cup of tea, for example, I really struggled with the fact that he sang the Canadian national anthem when the guy is American. But anyway, that's another story. But I think credit to Canada, and the atmosphere really in Toronto was outstanding. It was incredible. It was a sea of red with a little bit of blue, a patch of blue in the stadium, but they were really up for it. And I was glad that at least they got a point. And now they play Qatar next. And, with 4 points, they probably qualify for the next round. So, good for Canada, I thought, overall for that first game in the tournament.
Yeah, that was a statement. I mean, whether Jesse Marsch agrees or not, singing another country's national anthem in that context, I don't want to over-egg it, but it's
bold,
definitely it is definitely bold. Jonathan David, I thought, struggling again, replaced by Promise David, with whom he's not related. But yeah, Bosnia in this game, and yeah, maybe they could have done more, but the point suits them just fine.
Aled Amad Diallo strike gives Côte d'Ivoire a 1-0 win over Ecuador. Gab, you were there, and I know you rate both teams.
Yeah, and both teams kind of reinforced it. Now, I rate them for slightly different reasons. Ecuador, this idea that I think many people had, that this is purely a defensive team because of all the defensive talent that they have and everything, and the fact they only conceded 5 goals in World Cup qualifying. No, they can attack too. They hit the woodwork numerous times with better finishing. I think they would have scored. I think they probably deserved something out of this game, certainly in the first half. But Jules, the story within the story is Yan Diomande. I was so excited to see him in person. It's the first time I've ever seen him. He's up against Piero Hincapié in that first half. Piero Hincapié is going to have nightmares about him. Honestly, and it's not just the raw athleticism. It's not just get the ball, stand up your defender and try to beat him. He's just such an intelligent player as well. They talked afterwards about his coach, Emir Sfed, talked about how, he's so coachable, so smart. Certainly a huge performance. In the second half, he moved to the other flank, showing he can do it there. Sebastian Beccacetti reacted by kind of redrawing his defense so that he'd be up against Joel Ordóñez. And Joel Ordóñez, with help, with other players coming inside, when he's like this, he does seem unplayable. Now, maybe he's not going to do this every week, but he did it against some very good defenders in Ecuador. Let's see what he can do in the next couple of games. Sweden demolished Tunisia 5-1 as Alexander Isak scores 1 and dishes out 2 assists. Jules, this is the same guy Liverpool fans have been waiting for.
Yeah, well, I mean, he looks sharper certainly than what we saw in the season with Liverpool. Although he's very lucky on his goal because the keeper should have saved it. But we saw him scoring a great goal as well against Norway in one of the friendly games that Sweden had in their preparation for this tournament. I thought his front two with Gyökeres worked well, but again, against them, that Tunisia team and Tunisia defense was just all over the place. Unacceptable, really, from a team that had been quite solid, to be fair, in qualifications, and that already, I think there will be consequences. I was hearing this morning that Sabri Lamouchi was about to get sacked 1 game into this tournament. I believe it's the first time ever in World Cup history, because we don't really count Julien Lopetegui and Spain in 2018. First time ever that a manager starts the World Cup and then gets sacked after the start of it. So I think that Sweden were good, and it's a big win for them and good for Graham Potter. Ease a little bit of the pressure, but Tunisia were horrendous in the game.
Can I just say, if Tunisia sacked Sabri Lamouchi after 1 game during a World Cup, he can't be the only one to go. Whoever appointed him, the whole people at the top, they have to go too, because this is just unserious.
A late on goal from substitute Miro Muheim gives Qatar a 1-1 draw against Switzerland. Gab, this was a bit cruel.
Yeah, this guy comes on as a substitute late on, and, you know, Switzerland are doing kind of the Swiss thing. They take the lead. They have a couple more chances. Slightly dubious, I thought, the penalty, but Brielimbolo goes and converts it. And then cross comes in, and I don't know if he loses his bearing. He's a bit unlucky as well. And Qatar get a point. Who would have thought Qatar getting a point at his World Cup after their fine performance at home 4 years ago? Switzerland are going to be just fine, but I think they would have been happier, of course, with the 3 points. John McGinn's first half strike gives Scotland a 1-0 win over Haiti. It's their first World Cup victory since the days of Craig Burley in the 1950s. No, just kidding. It was 1998. Jules, were Haiti better than you expected, or were Scotland worse than you expected?
And I mean, I've watched Haiti before, and they played exactly like I thought. They've got really good players from the diaspora who play all around the world, but in good leagues. A few of them were born in France, played in France a lot. So we used to see them. If you're watching Ligue 1, you used to see quite a lot of them, and the quality was always there. I was more disappointed, by the way Scotland played, more than by the way Haiti played, really. And I think for Scotland, they're in a very strong position to advance now, having 3 points already, especially after the draw between Brazil and Morocco. But to play against Morocco and Brazil, they will have to improve massively compared to what we saw in this game. This was way back on Thursday, but South Korea come from behind to beat Czechia 2-1, Gab.
Yeah, this feels like an age ago, doesn't it? I was really impressed with Korea after they went behind. We know it was going to be a set-piece situation where the Czechs were going to be most dangerous. Korea just kept going, and we knew there were doubts over Hong Min-bo as well. Czechia maybe gave Korea a little too much respect, maybe. I would have liked to see them get the ball to Patrick Schick more, be more aggressive, but Korea running all over the pitch. Kang-in Lee coming up with a very good performance. Clearly, he's well rested and confident, being part of the European champions. And 3 fully deserved points. And Korea, I think, are another team. I mean, for me, Korea, along with Japan, probably the 2 Asian teams likely to go furthest in this competition. Ayoub Boadi continues to be strongly linked with Arsenal in his €65 million move. Jules, what's Arteta's plan here? A bit of rotation in midfield?
Yeah, I think they're looking for another midfielder anyway to go with Rice and Zubimendi and Lewis Kelly to a certain extent as well. And they've been following him a long time. They haven't waited for this World Cup to know that or to put Ayoub Boadi on their shortlist, really. They're not the only one. PSG are the other front runners right now to go and sign the 18-year-old midfielder who, as we said earlier in our first segment, was outstanding against Brazil. He has the authorization from Lille to go this summer. He should be the big sell like they do every year. Then I think choosing the best destination for him is really important here. But I think he's so talented that he would play and do really well at PSG in that rotation in midfield. I think he would do really well in the Premier League because he really has everything. He's one of the smartest players on and off the pitch, by the way, because he's still studying too, that you could find. He's great with all his ability, physically, technically, in possession, out of possession as well. So I even think that 65 is a really good price for him, although his performance against Brazil probably added another 10 million to the price tag.